The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised. It's Jasmyne Cannick, and I'm sorry for this. Hey, it's Jasmyne Cannick, and as you know, I don't have a name for this show yet, so we're calling it the Jasmyne Cannick Show. If you have an idea or a suggestion for the name, you should totally DM me or send me a message, and I'll take it under consideration. I am in Leimert Park, Los Angeles at Morris Media Studios. I've been doing this weekly podcast now for a couple of weeks now, where I'm sort of practicing, getting a feel for it, talking about issues that are important to me, that I think are important to you, but from an unapologetic Black point of view. And I have no shame about that. You know, asking questions and looking at things from a Black lens is not a bad thing. And that's what I try to do here, keep it real, I don't have time for that fake talk and all of that other stuff. If we're going to talk about something, we're going to keep it real. We're going to do the same thing today. There's a lot of stuff I want to try to get through in the next 30 minutes. I have one of my good friends, attorney Nana Gyamfi, here with me. And so we'll probably just go back and forth and talk about stuff like we always talk about stuff when there are no cameras on. So that's the deal. So, hey, Nana.
Hey, I'm very happy to be here. Excited to be here. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we talk all the time.
All the time.
And about the stuff we're going to talk about today.
All the time.
All the time. And never have cameras on.
I know, so it's going to be interesting this time.
But you always say that we should be recording this.
I always say that, and I'm right.
Okay, well, we're recording it today.
Yay!
So we'll see how that goes.
All right. It's going to be a treat, folks.
We'll see about that. Okay, so here's the deal. I usually never do this, but I'm going to try to make sure that I start remembering to do this. So if you want to ask a question or jump in on the conversation, you can call 323-293-3375, and we can patch you in on the phone, and you can join our girl talk, because basically that's what it's going to come down to. 323-293-3375, and you can join the conversation. I will try my best to look at all the comments on Facebook. You know, when I'm reading and I'm talking and I'm thinking, sometimes it's really hard and I don't get to your guys' comments till the end, but I'm going to do my best to try to look at some of those. So let's jump into it.
Okay, let's go. What we talking about first?
Okay, so I have what I'd like to call it's the end of the world as we know it report.
Okay, yes.
I think that's appropriate, right?
That's every day, but go ahead.
That's every day, right. And so we're going to start off with the fact that Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy is going to retire. His last day is going to be July 31st.
Yes.
And that is actually going to give our president, Donald Trump, a chance to shift the Supreme Court to the right, a lot of people believe. It came out of nowhere for me. When I saw the alert, I was like, wait a minute. I had no idea that he was gonna announce his retirement.
Last year he was in LA and, speaking. And he was like, I'm going to be here as long as, my health keeps going. So I'm wondering whether this is a health issue and maybe something has come up that makes it such that he can't do it, because this is so out of the blue. We were in court this morning and the judge in the case that I was on was like almost in mourning from hearing this and just in total shock. So it really is going to have an effect. Look at all the Supreme Court decisions that just got made in the past 2 days.
And we're actually going to talk about one of those. But yeah, so Kennedy is 81 years old, is going to effectively be retired from the Supreme Court on July 31st. As you should know, the court recesses at the end of June I think June 30th is the last day, and they don't come back to the first Monday in October, correct?
Right.
Yes. And so I have no doubt that our president is... Okay. You live in the United States of America.
That don't make this person my president
but
at
you
all.
get the point, though. You know, I'm not trying to claim him like I'm in love with Donald Trump, but he is the president of the country we're in.
It is a natural reflex.
Okay, well, you get the point. Our president, Donald Trump, will probably nominate someone who
has no qualification whatsoever.
That's probably
draconian.
true too. And who is? What are his favorite adjectives and words? Fantastic and great. Has he used neato yet?
No, he hasn't used neato yet that we know of.
Okay,
that's probably too much for him.
That seems like a word that he would use.
Exactly,
like neato.
Right? No, I think that's too much for him.
Okay.
He's got to graduate to that.
All right. Well, I'm absolutely sure that this person is probably going to lean conservative. Do you have any guesses on who might be in the running?
Yeah, look, he's going to pick someone that's never been to court before, that doesn't know the basics of any kind of criminal or civil procedure, who, however, has a Trump doll that they hold on to all day. That's who the person's going to be. I don't know the name of that person, but he's going to find that person, and it's going to be that person.
Well, what I'm pretty sure of is that he's going to pick someone who's going to end up being confirmed. And there's nothing, all the protests in the world, all the posts on social media, all of the editorials, all of the anger, I don't think it's going to stop it.
Well, especially given the timing.
People are going to do it. I think they're going to do right.
You know, given the timing. Yeah. I mean, this is where we are. He's going to push this thing through to make sure that it happens before anything that could maybe change in terms of the November election. So I think particularly given the timing, I mean, I think people should still speak up. Some people, that's the only thing that's keeping them from committing suicide, honestly. So I think that people should still express themselves.
I will give you that.
But
I will give you that.
It ain't going to stop the train.
That point. I do think that some of the folks who are in the streets protesting and doing their social media protesting, I do think that is the only thing keeping them from going off the deep end sometimes. But I just wonder how effective it is if everything still gets pushed through, if everything still happens.
What is effective is coup d'etat. Well, we don't do that in this country.
Everybody doesn't know what that is.
Oh, that's when you go in and you physically remove the government, right? Okay. But that doesn't happen in the United States of America.
It happens a lot in Africa.
Oh, it happens in a lot of other places because the United States of America funds it. They pay for it to happen.
It happens in South America.
It happens in Central America.
Right.
It happens in Asia. But a lot of it is being funded by the United States. That's why it can happen. Now, on the other hand,
conversation too.
Look, on the other hand, he doesn't like the FBI. He doesn't like the CIA. One thing they're good at is getting rid of governments. I'm just saying.
That is true. So speaking of the Supreme Court, we also had another major story break today, which was the decision of the Supreme Court to find that public employees cannot be forced to pay union dues or fees.
Even though they benefit from the work that the union does. That's the other piece of it.
That is up for interpretation. Some people would say that they don't because, again, you have to, we are just putting everything out there.
Yes,
okay?
And we should.
There are some people in these unions, right? We're talking about teachers, firefighters, carpenters, police officers. It's not just, it's not just longshoremen, for example, right?
Right.
It's the people who take care of my grandmother, right?
Right.
In nursing homes. But everyone isn't a Democrat. And 99.9% of political activity, especially money, goes to Democratic candidates and causes. And if you're a Republican or some other party, you might feel differently about whether or not it benefits you.
I think that here's the piece that's interesting. I think in this country, and part of it is the union's fault, okay? Is that people have forgotten what the unions really do and what they're for. So when I'm saying that people benefit is when people sit down and now it's time to go to the bargaining table, they benefit from, hey, you get this increase, hey, you get this extra part to your benefits package. So they get that piece. And that's really what unions were for. Unions have become so corporatized that they're operating in their own way, and half the time people are totally dissatisfied with their union. they're coming to me as an attorney because they've gone to their union. The union's not doing what they need to have done in terms of the grievance part. So it's almost like on the bargaining piece, yes. But on everything else that the unions are supposed to be doing in terms of really representing their members, not necessarily. Sometimes, you got some unions that do a great job. You have a lot of unions that do not do a great job. So they're going to have to work that out. They're going to have to fix that.
That's a really big decision. It was a 5-4 split. It has been the talk of the day because, when you look at the two political parties, in different political circles, we make jokes and we say, big business supports Republicans and labor supports Democrats. And so there's like a real concern right now on the part of the Democratic Party, on the part of people who benefit from labor's work and labor's dollars. Like, how does that affect the Democratic Party? So it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
Well, also, how does it affect the bargaining power? I mean, yeah. I am in a union, and so it matters to me. Like, when I see something like this decision, I'm like,
So
because
you won't be opting out.
Oh, no, I won't be opting out. I won't be opting out. In fact, my opt-in is going to be a little deeper of a dive.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Okay, so those two stories were part of what I'm calling It's the End of the World as We Know It report.
Okay. All right. All right. That's fair.
So now I want to get into the Get Your Ducats Together / gentrification report. As you know, one of my big issues is housing. One of my favorite issues to talk about is gentrification, and I don't like to dance around the issue of gentrification. I like to keep it real. So we're going to get a little closer to home for my LA folks. So what the situation is that if you look like me or Nana, you are being pushed out the city and the county of Los Angeles.
You've been pushed out.
And our mayor has an idea of the type of Angelino he wants living here. And let me tell you, chances are you are not it.
That's right.
Okay? And so what's been happening over the last 20 years is that we have been being pushed and pushed and pushed further and further and further out of LA County, some of us out of the state altogether. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's just the reality. That's what it is. Okay? Rent is too damn high. It's going to stay too damn high. And the only people who are going to be able to afford it are the type of folks that people like our mayor want in this city, right? They fit a certain profile. Think downtown. Okay? Think him. Think him.
People
exactly.
like him.
Exactly. People just like him. So today, the LA City Council voted to approve an overhaul to the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. Now, many of you guys know who have been following this issue. This is the mall that sits on Crenshaw and King, as if you really needed to know where it was. But I'll just, for those who may be tuning in from elsewhere in the world, it is on Crenshaw and King. For quite some time, there have been a number of activists and groups who have been fighting the redevelopment of this mall, which is supposed to include a bigger, better mall, and a hotel, apartments. It's sort of, a workplace sort of atmosphere, work, play, live. You got the Crenshaw line, the Expo line. So again, a certain type of Angelino, right, that they're looking for. And that vote went right on through. I personally didn't think it was not going to go through. I'll be interested in talking to some of the people who worked on this issue to see what Plan B is. Hopefully they had a Plan B and a Plan C, because I think most of us knew it was going to go through. There was too much at stake for folks for it not to. But it's just another sign that we're going to be pushed even further out of this area. Right now I'm at Morris Media Studios in Leimert Park, and a lot of you guys know that Crenshaw Boulevard is closed, right? From 48th down to Homeland, because they're working on restructuring the streets after all of their construction on this new metro line. And it's really interesting because when I drive around the neighborhood, I see less and less of us. Less and less of us. I know who I see more and more of. and
with their dogs.
With their dogs, yes. Jogging, walking,
skipping. And just for folks who don't know, who aren't in this area, this is a predominantly was a predominantly black area. It wasn't a predominantly people of color area.
Right.
It was a predominantly black area, a very special black area. I mean, Jasmine and I have been to all the major cities in this country. There are no places like Crenshaw. There are no places like Lamert in terms of black businesses, the type of black businesses. This is really the spiritual, political, cultural, social,
or was
heart of black folks. And right now what we see happening is they're acting like they're trying to keep it, but it's as an accent. It's as atmosphere. Yeah. So we're going to be black people as atmosphere. Drumming when they say it's okay to drum.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Giving them the cultural entertainment that they would like to have. Now,
allowing them to eat curry goat.
They don't want homeless people, okay? They don't want black homeless people. That's not culturally relevant to them. Right?
They don't want black working class people.
So, yes, some of the homes around here now are going for $1 million and more. And, if you're one of the black homeowners that own a home around here and now your house is worth over $1 million or close to it, that's a great thing, but you got to look at the bigger picture. I hear a lot of homeowners, and especially black ones, and they'll just be like, "Oh, well, it's great for me because think globally, think big picture. Stop thinking so much about yourself. Because you're going to wake up and find yourself a stranger in your own neighborhood, and you getting pulled over at night on your way home from work." After you've lived in a neighborhood for 30 years because it's flipped and now you're in the minority.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at history, but you don't even have to look at history. Look at the present. Look at what's happening in all these other black places where black people are looking up. And as you say, they're finding out that suddenly you are the person who is continually the suspect.
Yeah.
And we know that that's already happening. Yeah.
So that is your gentrification report for today.
Sad.
In other news, today is National HIV Testing Day.
Get tested.
I feel like people need to know their status like they know all the words to these trap music, mumble rap songs. Like they need to know their status the way that they know where their man or their woman is at any given time, right? They need to know.
They got to do better than that because they don't know where they are.
No. You should hear some of the conversations I hear. Folks keep tabs on, their various boos and bays and whatever. They need to know their status, Nana, like they know who owes them money.
Yes, that's a good one. Absolutely, yes.
People, you need to know your status like you know every single damn thing this president is doing.
Yep.
Okay? Like you all up in the president's business and what he's doing or what he's not doing, but do you know your HIV status? That's a good question.
That's a good question.
You need to be as concerned with your HIV status as you are with your looks. How's that one?
And that's all of you. All of you.
You need to know your HIV status like you know everything about everything else.
I agree. You got to know it. And that's everyone. I keep emphasizing that because at one point, the largest growing population of black folks with HIV were middle-aged and elderly women. Looking for that chocolate.
Yeah, well.
That young chocolate and picking up all kinds of other things. So get tested. All of you. Even you, Grandma.
Yeah, people, we need to know our HIV status like our life depends on it because our life actually does depend on it. And we know everything about everything else, but that's the one thing we act like we're afraid to talk about or ask our partner about. And it's like before you open your mouth or your legs or you bend over or do whatever it is that you do in the bedroom, you need to know what's going on with the person that you're sleeping with. Well, it's true.
I agree.
And finally, in my little sort of local news today was Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck. It was officially his last day.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let the church say amen.
Dun, 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 dun. Amen.
Amen. Yes. Don't let the door hit you.
Where the good Lord split you.
And it's time for a new day. That's one person I'm not sorry to see go.
Now, I don't know why they created such a mess downtown today.
I wasn't even going to talk about that, but yes.
That was ridiculous. for
the
no
way
reason.
They blocked traffic downtown and pulled out all. I wonder if one of those horses was his daughter's horse, George the horse.
That would be a good question.
I'm sure one of those horses probably was. I mean, they completely shut down downtown, around the Civic Center, around the police department, around City Hall, all in honor of this man, and it was absolutely ridiculous. We couldn't even get where we were trying to go. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry. But yes, he's gone, and I'm so happy about that.
Yes.
So while we have a couple of minutes left, I wanted to talk to you. Everyone who pays any attention to the news is aware of the issue going on with the separation of children from their parents. They're aware of the issue around the Supreme Court upholding President Trump's travel ban. And I like to engage in conversations with people about this because I have friends from all different viewpoints. Some of my friends are like, hey, well, if they don't want to be separated from their kids, why are they coming over here? Some folks, feel completely the opposite, like we should have no borders, no walls, just let everybody in. There are folks who are kind of in between. But one thing that continues to bother me in this conversation around immigration, not just in California, but across the nation, is this idea that anything having to do with immigration only involves Latinos.
Yeah, and let's be very clear, non-Afro Latinos.
Yes.
Right? That black people basically are not a part of the conversation, which is ridiculous. I mean, when we think about family separation, I think about the woman from the Congo who had a 7-year-old daughter, and they literally shipped the woman to Chicago and shipped the daughter out here to L.A., and it took months and a lot of pressure.
Google it.
It took months and a lot of pressure
I tell people that
from other folks, including Black Alliance for Just Immigration, which is focused on the issue of black immigration.
And that's Baji, if folks are familiar with the name.
And, there was really not a peep, though, media-wise, because part of it is that from the media perspective, the more white-presenting it is, the more sympathetic it is. And so even when you look at that image of that little girl who had the red shoes on, now if that was some little Haitian girl with her hair, and some 2 volleyballs on her head, nobody would be using that picture. She wouldn't be sympathetic. It would be like a dusty chick, you came over here and next, right? But that really touched the hearts of people. And it's not so much upsetting that it touches the hearts of people. It's just, again, the glaring anti-blackness. Just the refusal to acknowledge that black people from, Somalia are on this travel ban, right? That you have black people from Venezuela and from these other places that are part of this travel ban. That you have black families that have been getting separated. And putting up signs in Spanish don't help some of those black people because they speak Creole, or they speak French, or they speak Tree, or Igbo, or, Amharic. And no one is talking about that but select groups such as Baji.
Right. And so one of my issues has been, black people are so quick to call out their quote-unquote white allies whenever the white allies don't do something or don't do enough. But why are we so hesitant to call out our so-called Latino allies when they ignore us and overlook us? I mean, I posted a flyer on my Facebook page for this Keep Families Together rally, and I saw a lot of black fists, like different shades of blackness on the flyer, but I didn't see one single black organization on it, and that really concerned me.
There's a need, especially, let's talk specifically around organizing circles, right? So I'm not just talking in the streets or in the prisons or something. Really talking about organizing circles. There's a need for a pushback. I'm one of those people, when they see me come to the table, they're like, they know it's not going to be good. Because I want to understand, you're getting money to represent all immigrants, but 98% of your money is going to non-black people. I need to understand how that's possible when it's supposed to be shared, and we know that there's more than 2% of black people in this space.
Well,
right?
Do you know Inglewood could be called Little Lagos, right? And that we do have Little Ethiopia.
Right.
We have a huge Belizean population. We have a very large Jamaican population here.
Jasmine, you worked on a soccer. It's World Cup
the
right
African
now.
Soccer
You worked on
tournament.
there was no country not represented. Chad was represented. Mozambique was represented. I mean, when you were showing me the
Cameroon.
countries, of course, and Ghana, but when you were showing me the countries, I was like, what? There are people here from, so we have all those people here. Pan-African Film Festival happens.
Yeah.
We see all those people, right? They all have their Independence Day parties. So it's not a question of not being able to know who they are, not being able to reach out. And what you saw on that flyer is what you see too much, and we're trying to push back with Baji, is the tokenizing of our existence. So it's like, oh, we don't want to get yelled at. Make sure you put a dark fist up on there too. But you're actually not centering us. And that needs to happen.
We're going to have to continue this conversation.
All right.
We should continue this, though. Because
yes, I told you. This is
a conversation that definitely needs to be talked about. I thank you for coming in and hanging out with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you to Morris Media Studios and Poetess for having me. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. This is how we talk every day. Without the cameras, and we can go on and on and on and on. And then we kind of ran out of time because we started talking like we usually do. So, but we'll have to continue it. But you guys can, like I said, send messages, post comments, and we can definitely continue the conversation because it's worth continuing. Until next week, keep it real.
Keep it real.
And try to stay alive.
Hey.